So I know you worried that this exercise would be a little bit over her head, but actually I thought everything with regard to the serpentines and the blind crosses went really well. The only thing that I saw as a major weakness was the backside skills, and that was a combination between her being young and not doing a lot of them and you being a little bit late on handling. But actually, I didn't think the serpentine or the blind stuff was a problem at all. So first we have the serpentine blind. You're going to push through, cueing a turn at that. This was all nice. All right, so the goal is that you have began pushing through the gap, ideally breaking the plane by the time the dog commits so that everything behind you is taken out of play, which means this off course is taken out of play. So if we go back and we look at the point her front feet lift, right here, you would not be in this position. You would not be this far forward if, in fact, you were going to do a serpentine and ask for this jump. So in my mind, you might be able to, over time, be able to get a little further ahead. I know I've had dogs where I'm actually already on the takeoff side. By the time they commit, it almost at that point kind of feels like a backup recall. But with her, that will come with time with the lateral sense. So while you could be further ahead, I certainly don't think that you were behind on this. Do try to make sure that by the time she lands, you're looking back and connecting with her a little bit more. Here, you're just kind of generically looking forward, I think, spotting for this jump. But because she's hit the ground, you want to make sure to look back. And then here, you can see that you've connected with her on that. So I'd say the timing on that one was really good. But up here, this is where the backside verbal, I think, both needs strengthened as a skill. And then the timing earlier. If we zoom in and we kind of watch, because you can't hear, or you'll be able to hear if you go back and watch in the original, she was landed and turned in, and then right here, watch your mouth. You close it and open up. That was the backside verbal right there. See, you didn't say it, and then around right there. Well, she's already landed and curling in and looking at you. So that around verbal should have been happening once you knew you had commitment to this jump. So as soon as she took off for this jump, commitment is done. She's airborne. She's made a decision about takeoff. There's nothing she can do. Now she's saying, what's next? But because she didn't get that information, she curled in, and then you had to redirect. And then that kind of affected this next blind because you held here just a little bit long to help make sure she got to the backside. You did do a good job showing the wing. So it made this blind a little bit late because as she's taking off, you're kind of neutral. It wasn't real clear whether she should be coming to your left or your right. And then you were able to sneak off of her line. So location wise was good. I didn't feel like she added in any strides to get around you. So you're looking at timing and location. Location certainly wasn't a problem. So now we switch over to the early blind. So the big difference here on the early blind is that we do want to cue extension over the red. We want the dog to jump already taking off, thinking about our right shoulder. And I felt like you waited a little long to do it. So when she's approaching this jump, you're already cueing a 180. So you're moving lateral, inside arm. She should take off for this knowing that it's a 180, that it's not a wrap, that it's not a threadle, which means that the commitment to this jump is going to happen very early. So by now, in my mind, you can go ahead and be starting into the blind because I know the fear is that if you blind that early for a lot of dogs, they worry about coming through, but you would have been cueing this jump differently if you wanted her to come through the gap. So here you can see she's approaching. You're still looking over your left shoulder. You're still using your left arm. And then right here, right here, pause at takeoff. So right here, she's taking off and you're very neutral. So if I just said, okay, hey, what's this? I think you would agree that it's very neutral. There's not strong eye contact to the right. You're kind of just looking ahead. Your right arm is down at your side, but I wouldn't say it's extended back or reaching back in a way that says, hey, recall to that side. She basically jumps to your right side because your location is preventing anything else. And then here you look back. So I want to see that kind of connection in that right arm out just a little bit earlier. And I think that was just a trust issue and you not recognizing how early she would commit. This serp, very, very nice on that one. She did a good job with that. All right, and then we have one more serp here on the end, which actually was better. Every time you did this sequence, the second blind here was much better. Notice the difference in your reach back. So I commented on the first one, you didn't really reach back with the right arm. Look at it now. You're very much making a deliberate attempt to reach back with that right arm. The only problem on this one is you're still looking over, you're reaching back with your left arm. You're still looking over your right arm. So you got to trust that and get looking over your left arm because now you have the conflicting cues at this point. If she's approaching, and I would say right now she's getting ready to mentally make a decision. She may not physically take off, but physical and mental commitment are different. Your eye contact says, hey, come to my right side. Your hand signal says, hey, come to my left side. All right, so she ends up coming up to your left side. Again, I think location kind of forced that one. But just as soon as you know she's committed over this jump, go ahead and switch to the left arm. I don't think in this situation you're going to have too early of a blind cross, because what you would do if you wanted her to come through the gap would be so different. So as you reworked this, things got better. All right, here. All right, again, pausing at takeoff. Right there. All right, you have the right arm back, just not the way you have it reached back on that other blind, and eye contact a little neutral. All right, but very much cueing extension out to that jump. And then it's this second one here that I thought was your best one of all of them. So of all of the early blinds, or what sometimes people refer to as extension blinds, I thought this was the best one. So here she's taken off, you've cued the 180, and look, you're starting the blind before she lands. So this was the timing I was talking about. You cued the red jump when she took off for this, so when she lands off of this, cue that. This is the timing I want. Left arm is back, eye contact is back, and she's only made it about halfway. So this one here, perfect. So of the 4 early blinds, each one got better and better. This one was spot on. The only thing that one might say is that location-wise, you could back up a little bit. It depends on what you want her line to this jump to be. Because you are a little bit on her line, you even actually step into your left, you do create a shape here, and maybe that's what you want. So in a situation where you are trying to create a shape, your location is actually perfect on that one. But if you wanted her to come over and slice this jump and say you were going off in that direction, now she has to come around you only to then jump and cut back. So with no last obstacle, it's hard to say, based on where you rewarded and wanting to come back in this direction, I thought the shaping was actually perfect. But that last blind, that one was perfect. That's the timing that we want to look for. And then after doing all those early blinds, always good to go back to the serpentine pushes. Make sure she's going to be respectful of the cues and not just assume. And you can see here, this is nice. You're pushing ahead. Again, I think with timing, you could get further ahead, but not bad. Keeping her on your left, getting that blind cross done. I mean, she's being very respectful. And then same thing here. You got to get that backside verbal out sooner. She wants to cut in. You blocked the wing a little bit more on this one. Previously, you showed the whole wing. And I even commented how it's really nice location. Here you're stepping in. And remember that the further you are to your right, the further you have to travel. So it's going to make this blind cross down here more difficult. So you're blocking the wing and then, again, barely getting this one in. You can see right here, she's a good girl not to kind of hit you, right? Looking at where your heel is as she comes over, or hit the bar as you just kind of get out of her way for that. So I think that's more of an issue on the send to the backside than anything else. So really good work on these. Just work on the backside sends and trusting her and getting that extension blind done a little bit earlier.